I don't know what's been going on lately.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Going on, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Sports Minute. I am Ace from the West Coast. I am joined tonight by none other than, who do we call him? That's right, we call him J Mac and Cheese. How's it going tonight?
Oh, not too bad. How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm actually really, really good today. I'm super excited. All right, and then of course we have Will. Please let me be the GM of the Chicago Bears, Polston. How's it going tonight?
Man, I'm doing so good. It's illegal in 13 states and 12 colonies.
I love it. I love it. And then, of course, we have Vic. I want that name of mac and cheese. Vic, how's it going tonight?
It is going fantastic. Jared Goff lost all with the world today.
Well,
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. The person that's got to be really excited about the Jared Goff thing is Will, because every time Jared Goff loses, he loves it.
Jared Goff lost, but Aaron Rodgers won. I got to take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if I should be happy or sad. I'm kind of both. I'm not going to lie.
Right. All right. So before we jump into our topics tonight, of course, we have a little bit of housekeeping we need to do. So why don't you go ahead? And we have actually something very interesting tonight. We now have commercials for our ads. So guess what? The first commercial that you get to see is you get to see the commercial for Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry.
My favorite.
So, Nate, go ahead and bring it up.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network. Suzanne's Paparazzi.
I love it. All right. Of course, that's our first ad. And then, of course, we have our second ad, which is none other than the great Misty Meadows that we talk about a lot because they have some awesome stuff. So, Nate, why don't you go ahead and pull up that commercial? Yeah, we love it. It's awesome. All right. And then, of course, last but not least, before we jump into our topics, hey, Will, you're that guy, right? You are that guy.
I'm the dude.
Those T-shirts. You love those T-shirts.
Love them.
So you tell me why other people should like these T-shirts.
Because you know how like back in the day, if you didn't have like certain things, you weren't cool. It's kind of what this T-shirt's like. If you don't have this shirt, you're just not with it, man. You just can't sit at our table. You can't sit with us right now. But don't be a part of that. You could be our viewer of the month and win your very own free ASAP Network T-shirt. And that's one way to do it. Be down in the comments section. I'm already seeing Madison and Brandon Herrera down there. I'm seeing Kristen down there already. It's awesome. Be down there in the comments section and be a part of the show. Just be lively with everybody. Make sure you can like the video. You can comment. You can share. Do everything you can to build a brand. At the end of the month, we'll tally it up. And that's how you can get your very own ASAP Network T-shirt for free. But not everybody is able to catch it live. Not everybody's willing to be in the comments section. So go ahead and message one of these beautiful people that you see on screen, or anybody that you know from the ASAP network, and go ahead and message one of us, and you can get t-shirts for $14.99 plus shipping and handling. We got smalls for 2Xs. Go ahead and message us, and we will make sure that you get your very own ASAP network t-shirt ASAP.
So I want to give jewelry.
Sorry.
So there's actually a name that I actually want to throw out there that, you know what? For the first time in a while, I haven't seen this name in the comments, but it's Mike. Welcome,
Hey,
Mike. Mike, he's in the comments tonight.
Con man.
Yes, Mr. Mike, the con man, is in the comments tonight. I love it. All right, so now that our housekeeping is over, guess what? We had two fantastic games today, and I, for one, was super stoked about the first one. So why don't we go ahead and we jump into that first one, which, of course, was the Los Angeles Rams versus the Green Bay Packers.
Shocker.
Not really. This was not a shocker at all. Of course, everybody knows they're watching Sportsminute, so flip it over to that next slide. There you go. All right, so we have the Green Bay Packers who beat the LA Rams 32-18. So J-Mac and Cheese, please go ahead and give me your thoughts on this game to start out with.
Well, I thought that the Rams were a little flat in the first quarter to the first half. They showed a little bit of life there in the third quarter and actually made it really close when Valdez-Scantling dropped a pass, and then Aaron Lazard missed one, and then it was like an 8-point game, and I'm like, oh, great, here we go. This is how we're going to blow this one. And then it didn't end up happening because, well, then Lazard caught the one across the middle and put him up 14, and that was all she wrote at that point. But I think that both teams played pretty well at times, not for the whole game, obviously. I think that Green Bay obviously outplayed them. That's why they scored more points. But it was really good to see Green Bay score a run for almost 200 yards. I'll say that. Showing that, yes, Aaron Rodgers can do Aaron Rodgers things, and he is going to be the MVP for that reason. However, they did prove in this game that there may come a game where if we don't need him, we can rely on our run game to win a game as well.
Yeah, and J-Mac, going back to that point, like you were saying there for a second, I agree with that take because simply I think today that the goal was that Green Bay wanted to show that this team does not have to throw the ball in order to win a game. When you have a three-headed backfield with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon, which, yeah, A.J. Dillon did end up getting hurt. He ended up injuring his quad. We'll see if he's going to be healthy next week for the NFC Championship. I don't know, but a running game right now is going to be huge. And what I thought today was actually going up against what they called the number one run defense in the NFL. Like, that's what I thought was actually really, really impressive. And I know Will's down there going, well, was it really today? And I know why you're saying that. But still. They did what they had to do. They came in, they won the game. This is the type of game that even when people are hurt, these games sometimes can end up bad because that team overlooks those injuries and they're like, okay, they're banged up, they're injured, so we don't have to go out and play as hard. But Green Bay did what they had to do. They came out and they got the job done. I don't want to take any credit, and Will, you're going to hate me for this because I know you're not a fan of this guy at all, but I cannot take away credit from Jared Goff because Jared Goff actually played pretty well in this game. He didn't turn the ball over, and he actually threw like 7 incomplete passes all game. And that was without Cooper Kupp. He did have Robert Woods. He had Elliott. But Cam Akers, hey, give some props to Cam Akers. Cam Akers stepped up in this game. He stepped up last week too. I think Cam Akers is definitely their future at running back. He looks solid. impressive for Cam Akers. I can't wait till next week. So, Will, go ahead and give me your takeaway in this game.
No, I mean, this game was fun to watch. I mean, there was nothing that really. I mean, the Packers didn't do anything to impress me. The Rams didn't do anything that shocked me. It was just unfortunate to see this Rams team go down the way they did, just because Aaron Donald, as you were saying, you knew exactly where I'm going with this. I'm glad your run game did well and everything, and I'm glad you guys have newfound confidence in them. But at the end of the day, when the best defensive player in the NFL is not on the field, it's a lot easier to run the ball. It's so much easier. Whenever he's not there to clog up the holes, number 99 is the most disruptive force on earth whenever it comes to football. And we just didn't see him that much today. He had one assisted tackle. He was playing through injury, kind of. I say kind of not because of the injury, but because playing, he was barely out there. Jared Goff going with his thumb issue, and honestly, he looked really decent in the beginning. I'll give it to him. He was looking pretty good. And big ups to Jared Goff. I'm not a fan of the guy, sure, but big ups to him for playing through the injury, doing what you can to be there for your team. I respect that a lot. That's huge. I know he's not great in cold weather games, so it's not great. But the Rams, I didn't see the Rams getting past this. I really didn't. At full strength, maybe. But whenever you have your best defensive player out, when you have your defensive captain and your offensive captain out, not to mention Cooper Kupp, another captain on the offense, it was a very depleted Rams team. I'm glad you guys managed to get the win. It's what you should do. Good teams should beat teams when they're down. It's exactly how you go about playing football. You didn't play down to their level. You didn't do anything like that. So, the Packers did what they had to do to get their job done. The running game looked a lot better. I'm still taking that with a grain of salt. I don't know if I necessarily believe in that. And there's two more great run defenses on the other side that you're going to have to face one of them in the NFC Championship game. So, are you going to be able to rely on them next week? I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, the Packers did what they had to do. It was a good game to watch. I was hoping it'd be a little bit closer, but it is what it is. Good game by the Packers in general.
Well, Will, the other thing that I was saying that you want to look at in this game too is that the Rams have a very, very good pass defense also. And in this game, when we did pass the ball, we were able to pass the ball basically whenever we wanted to in the passing game. The only really reason we were held back in the passing side was we had drops in that game. Alan Lazard dropped a wide open pass that probably would have been 6. Valdez Scantling, he dropped a pass because that's what he normally does. He doesn't catch everything that's thrown to him. He's got some of the most drops in the league. So I liked how the pass was going with the run with the pass. So I'm looking forward to next week. All right, and Vic, go ahead and give me your takeaway in this game.
Well, I'm going to do what Will should have done from the start. I ain't giving Jared Goff no props. I don't care. I don't care if you're hurt. You get paid millions of dollars. That's what you're supposed to do. Sorry. No props for Jared Goff today. But yeah, like Aaron Donald out, that's a big part of the defense. And to Packers' benefits, I mean, they took advantage of it. I mean, that's if you can take that moment and you can run the ball, run it. If Aaron Donald's out, take advantage of it. And they fully did. Yeah, there were some drops on Green Bay's side. Those are going to happen. It's 30 degrees outside. Can't feel your fingers. Things are going to happen. But Green Bay prevailed. They showed who is the best guys. Jalen Ramsey got schooled a little bit by Devontae. I really like that because I don't like him very much. I like watching him get beat. Cam Akers, he's 2 weeks in a row. He showed up pretty good for the Rams. If he's the future, I need a couple more games to see that. But overall, great game by Aaron Rodgers. Proved why he's going to be the MVP. I mean, he's the man.
All right. I'm the president of the anti-Jared Goff fan club, but I want you to I'm going to be serious with you here for a minute. If you're not going to give Jared Goff credit, then you need to burn Aaron Donald as well, because at least Jared Goff was out there playing. Aaron Donald played a couple snaps and then was just on the sideline. He gets paid way more than Jared Goff does. And he's the main captain on that defense. at least Jared Goff was out there playing. And obviously with no John Wolford, do you take a practice squad quarterback for Jared Goff? Jared Goff did what he had to do, but Aaron Donald tried to fight through it and he couldn't. I still give Jared Goff his credit. His thumb's all messed up, literally 2 weeks off of surgery. I mean, it's a lot, especially in a cold weather game. Those stitches feel a little tighter, and then everything else. I give him props. Get up to Jared Goff.
Which I will say this, because Brandon actually left a comment, Will, that said, wait. He just heard you give Jared Goff a good job. Now,
absolutely.
Yeah, we all know that Will might hate on Jared Goff, but I think Will understands too that when the guy does good, he's going to give him props.
If you play good, here's the thing. I might not like you, but if you play well, then I have to acknowledge it. I'm not going to be that guy if Jared Goff goes out, in his first game of the season, throws 350 and 4 touchdowns, I'm not going to be like, well, Jared Goff didn't have a good game. No, that's an amazing game. Are you kidding me? Like he played with stitches in his thumb, an injury on his thumb, on his throwing hand, only missed 6 passes in freezing cold weather in Lambeau with fans in the stands. By the way, it looks like there's no COVID in Wisconsin. They were all piled on top of each other. That was a little weird, but yeah, no, Jared Goff played well. Only 1 touchdown, no interceptions. That's a big thing, not turning the ball over. He didn't have a great game by any means, by any stretch of the matter, only 170 some yards, but he was completing his passes, making his throws. He did what he could, and he gave the Rams the best chance to win. It's just the defense couldn't hold it up today. So big ups to Jared Goff. Congrats to the Packers.
So J-Mac, I'm going to ask you a question about this, because what I was reading afterwards actually kind of shocked me a little bit. After you saw that the Rams had lost, it actually showed a picture of Aaron Donald on the sidelines in tears, right? So when you see it, people were actually like basically blasting this guy and telling him, why are you crying? You need to suck it up. You shouldn't be crying. To me, he's a competitor. So he's just showing how frustrated and disappointed he was to lose this game. So what do you think about that?
Well, and we weren't there. We're not standing on the Rams sidelines. We can't tell you that. I mean, have you ever hurt yourself so bad that you try to do anything through it? You try to work through it. You try to do whatever you can. And at the end of the day, when you get home, you just break down. You just break down because you're like, man, this hurts so bad, but I went and I played through it, and now I don't have to anymore, and I can just let it all go. And so if he was hurt at a point where it was a lot of pain and he went out there and tried to push through it anyway, then at the end of the game, it was like a big release of like, yeah, we lost. That's frustrating. And then B, I'm hurt to a point where I just can't hold it in. Like it just hurts. And so everything hurts. So losing hurts. My injury hurts, all of it. Because this is a guy's life, man. It's a game in the end, but it's their job. It's their life. It's what they do. And so I don't know, to sit there and say that that's not part of the game, I'm sorry, but it is. It is.
Now, I completely agree with you 100%. If the guy's going to cry, that's fine. He's a competitor. So it's completely okay to have tears after losing a game. It shows you care. It really, really does. So, Will, my question for you on this one is during the game when Aaron Donald got that personal foul because he grabbed the face mask of Jenkins. Do you think that was frustration on the part of Donald because he knew he wasn't 100% and he couldn't get the pressure on Aaron Rodgers like he wanted to?
It definitely could be a factor. I mean, this guy was, you could tell that Aaron Donald was hurt because he's getting beaten one-on-ones, and that's not Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald usually wins 2 versus 1s, and he does it with ease. Whenever you're sitting there watching it, you could tell he was banged up from the way he was coming up after plays and, anything that he was doing. He wasn't doing the chase downs like he typically does if a running back, if your running back got to the second level. He wasn't breaking away from blocks. He was really just uncharacteristic of himself. And, yeah, I mean, whenever you're a competitor like that, and especially a competitor like Aaron Donald, who's used to playing at such a high level, when you're not reaching those expectations of yourself, you're going to be really hard on yourself. And every little thing gets to you at that point. No matter if it's away, somebody grabs you in a block. It could have been, we like J-Mac said, we weren't there. We don't know exactly what's going on, but there could have been like some weird hand movement, weird hand placement to where you get him in a certain way. Or maybe there was a penalty that he thought wasn't called. Or maybe he just said some words after the play. It really could have been anything. But whenever you're at that super high competitive level, things like that are going to get you, especially when tensions are already high. At the end of the day, this is a divisional round of the playoffs. No matter how many times these two teams see each other, it's going to be personal because, like you said, Ace, it's their job. They're fighting for more money. Because with playoff wins comes more money whenever it comes contract time. It comes with legacy whenever you're getting into NFC championships and Super Bowls. It's more than just a game. Like, people who say it's just a game don't play sports. And people who say it's just a game don't care about their actual job because they don't understand that this is how they make their living. There's so much riding high in this game, and any little thing can get to you. I mean, it's not like he threw a punch. He just put his hand in his face mask. It's just a little thing that probably just got the best of him. Whether it be that he wasn't 100%, whether it be his emotions in the game, or whatever it may be. I'm sure that was definitely a contributing factor, though, for sure.
All right, and then Vic, my final question for you before we move on. It's actually another Aaron Donald question. I read afterwards that Sean McVay was actually saying that Aaron Donald has the right to substitute himself in the game whenever he wants to. Sean McVay gave him that choice. So do you think Aaron Donald sitting out on a lot of these plays was his call, or do you actually indeed believe that was the coach's call?
Oh, wow. I know sometimes coaches got to save players from themselves because they want to go out there hurt or not. But I think just based on his body language, I think it was Aaron Donald's choice to set out those plays because he just knew that he couldn't give 110% like he normally does and might wind up hurting himself worse, or maybe costing a big play to happen by not making a tackle that he normally would make. But yeah, I think it was mostly his choice to set him out. Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, the dude was hurt. I mean, torn rib cartilage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous that he even played at all. So yeah, giving him the choice of whether or not that's yeah, I think it was his call, and I think it was a good call. And I think he has to look at the big picture. I mean, his life goes on past this game, so he has to determine: is it worth hurting myself worse, or maybe just living to play another day?
I like it. All right, so that is our recap of the first game. So how about we jump into that second game of the night, which was the Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bills. And we know that nobody circles the wagons quite like the Buffalo Bills do.
Accurate.
And when it came down to it, I think almost everybody pretty much had Buffalo winning this game, since this is Will's team that he enjoys to watch, not your favorite team, just the team that you enjoy to watch on the AFC side. I will let you go ahead and start out with what you thought about this game.
Honestly, this made me more comfortable in the fact of the Bills' chances in the AFC Championship, and not from an offensive standpoint, because I know what their offense can do. If it was from a defensive standpoint, sure, Lamar Jackson got hurt and he wasn't there for the ending minutes of the fourth quarter, but he was there for 3/4 of the game and he was playing at 100%. It's not like you're playing Jared Goff with an injured thumb. It's not anything like that. This is a 100% fully healthy Lamar Jackson, and they stymied them to 3 points. That's amazing. Sure, it was cold. Sure, there was points left on the board because Justin Tucker thought hitting the upright was worth 4 points as opposed to putting it through being 3. But at the end of the day, they played amazing. Whenever their defense is typically a little bit of bend, not break, and we didn't see that much today. We saw a lot of just hammer it to them. The Bills' defense was never a question for me. I knew that this is a good defensive unit. I just didn't know exactly how well they could keep up with explosive offenses. And it doesn't get much more explosive whenever it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. They don't have the wide receiver core much, but they have that explosive playability. They have that big playability. At any point, the Ravens can run off for a 40, 60-yard run, and we saw it in against Tennessee. They were sitting there cold the whole game, and then Lamar Jackson bust a 50-yard run, and all of a sudden they're in the game again. But they were able to contain that today. They looked really good on defense. Their offense could have used a little bit of work, but it was a really windy day out there in Buffalo. They're known for more deep plays whenever it comes down to it, and the wind's going to affect the ball a little bit. Saw a lot of overthrows. Once Josh Allen gets that deep ball accuracy, though, this guy's going to easily be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Easily, not all time. I'm not saying that, but at the game, the way currently in today's game, he's going to be a top 3 quarterback. If he can just hit those deep balls on a consistent basis, this kid is electric. Great in the intermediate game, great in the short game. It's just hitting those deep balls, and the guy's got an arm too. That's the problem. He just overthrows everybody. But yeah, no, I like the Bills' chances going into the AFC game. I think this was a big stand for Buffalo because yes, I believed in the Bills, but a lot of people were saying the Ravens, and I believed the Ravens were going to score more than 3 points in this game. So to see them pull out a statement win like that, I think it was big for Buffalo. I honestly, I hope the Browns win just to have Bills Mafia get another home game because it's fun. But you never know. In fact, it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, I like Buffalo. I thought they played pretty well. The next man stepped up when they had to, and so good all-around team win.
All right, J-Mac, go ahead, and I'm going to ask you about this because I know that Justin Tucker's been one of your favorite kickers of all time. You've said that multiple times. So in this game, I know it's only, technically it's 6 points of leaving it off the board for Baltimore because of him, but how much blame do you need to put on Justin Tucker in this game?
Everyone always blames the kicker when they miss. So you can put as much blame on him as you want because that's just part of the game. But I don't know. He's been so consistent throughout his entire career. He's bound to miss a couple. The way he missed them was kind of weird. Like Will said, thinking maybe it's worth 4 points to put it off the goalpost. I don't know. Maybe that's something the NFL can do, though. Like if you can hit it one goalpost, hit 2, hit the crossbar, and go in, maybe it's worth 6 instead of 3.
I'm just saying, if that was the case, Chris Brown, your Eagles are done, okay?
Yeah.
I want to run back those playoffs. I demand a refund.
Yeah. So I don't know, but they'll probably blame him a little bit for some of it. But again, you put up those 6 points, it's still 17-9. And so then who do you have to look at? I mean, you have to look at Lamar Jackson, like Will pointed out. He was there for 3 quarters playing fully at 100%, and he put up 3 points. So it does show a lot about the Bills' defense that they can show up when they need to and only have to score 17 points to win. You don't have to hang up 56 like you did against Miami in the last game of the year. So it was all around. It was a good game on the both sides for Buffalo. Offense did enough, and defense showed up and played well.
They did. I will say this, though. Baltimore did leave a lot of points off the board with the 2 missed field goals. And then when you have Tyler Huntley, who would have thought that Tyler Huntley was going to have to come in and play in this game, quarterback from Utah, when he misses a wide open Marquez Brown. I mean, he was wide open. And then he can't hook up with Andrews in the end zone. So you leave 2 touchdowns off the board, 2 field goals off the board, and this is a whole brand new game here. So
don't hate on Huntley. Lamar threw a pick in the end zone.
Hey, no, trust me. I completely agree. Lamar Jackson threw that pick 6, and they took it all the way back to the house, man. All the way back to the house. All right, Vic, so go ahead and give me your thoughts about this game.
I mean, yeah, you talked about the overthrows by Huntley, and but I mean, the guy comes in cold off the bench. He's not, he knows the wind's going, doesn't know how strong the wind is. Josh Allen made the same thing. He overthrew a wide open guy, so he left points off the board there too. So that's not something you can blame Huntley for, even though he's from Utah, and I don't like Utah. The dude came out and balled. He looked great. He had that overthrow, but I mean, that's a win, man. That win was crazy, and the field goals. Justin Tucker normally is like money, and he just didn't make. Buffalo Kicker had the same issue in the second time around. So, the weather played a huge issue in the part in this game. But yeah, Huntley showed what he's got, and I mean, he's maybe a little bit more better than a backup, but it's still Lamar's job. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, the overthrows, that's just they each had one overthrow that could have been a touchdown, so that negates that evens out better. So I mean, Ravens putting only up 3 points, that's unheard of. I would never have even considered that an option. But yeah, that pick six in the end zone, that was the killer. That was when you knew the game was this game's done. Lamar can't throw in the wind. Josh Allen overthrows in the wind. So it was a running game, and oddly enough, Buffalo threw most of the game. I think their first 14 or 15 plays were all passes.
Yeah, they had 2 rushing attempts in the first half.
Yeah, one of them was by Josh Allen on a scramble. So
yeah.
So I mean, the weather did play a huge part. But not in the way that we thought it would. I mean, I thought cold weather, wind, they'd be running the ball a lot more, but they came out and started, were running and gunning. So power of the Bills. I mean, I overlooked them all year. I overlooked Josh Allen all year, and I take it back. The dude's got some skills. Once he gets the accuracy, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think Buffalo is going to give Kansas City a big game, even though Kansas City hasn't played yet. I'm still putting them in to win. So, they're going to give them a rough time.
So, Vic, my other question for you in this game, because we've been talking a lot about the Bills' defense. So in this game, do you think that the Bills' defense is that good, or do you think that the Ravens' offense was just off?
I think this game their defense was that good. They stopped Lamar. He was their main focus to stop. They stopped him from scrambling. They had the spy. They had he had a couple big runs, but nothing that changed the game like they always predict. So I think this game their defense was that good. I mean, the weather helped them out quite a bit, but as far as stopping Lamar, their defense was solid.
All right, so Will, my next question for you about this game is because you talked a little bit about it. So when you look at this Buffalo Bills running game, or let's say lack thereof, because they don't really have a running game, and you could see at the end that when they were trying to run out the clock, they could not do it. And so if there's one problem that I could see is that if they're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs team, and let's say they get the ball back and they have to run out that clock, are they going to be good enough in the running game to be able to do that? Or does this running game actually concern you that much?
Well, the run game concerns me. I don't want that to go overlooked, but I also don't want it to go overlooked that they were playing the Ravens on defense, and the Ravens defense has probably been the second most successful unit behind the Rams this season. Excuse me. The Ravens have been phenomenal. I think they are number 2 in scoring defense this year. They've been absolutely amazing. They're great at stopping the run. They're better at stopping the run than they are at stopping the aerial attack. But whenever overall this run defense or this run offense for the Bills leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, it's just Devin Singletary is not a main back. Zach Moss didn't see any attempts, I don't think, in this game, but he's nothing to write home about either. It's just it's the one question mark on this team. Otherwise, this team, I've said it since the beginning of the season. This team can compete easily with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they could easily be the AFC champion. And they just need to figure out their running game. And their running game still is in question. I think that's going to be the big point of their offseason. I think if they're very aware of what they need to do, if I was a GM, I would sign a running back or maybe draft one. But I think that this team has what it takes to run the ball out if it came down to that against Kansas City. Because at the end of the day, Kansas City's defense is better than last year's unit, but it's still not great. It's not up there as one of the upper echelon of defenses, such as your Rams, such as your Saints, your Ravens, your Bills. It's still the Chiefs at the end of the day. Their money's on the offensive side, and the defense is there to hold it down. It's not there to make the stop. It's there to do enough because they put out all the faith in number 15. So if the Bills get up and it's late in the game, as long as Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the ball in his hand in a one-possession game as time's running out, I'd believe in the Bills. I think if the Bills have the ball with their own game in their hands and all they have to do is run out the clock, I think they could find a way to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, which was my question because, you were talking about putting the ball in the hands of Patrick Mahomes. And so that's what I was saying. Like, you have to look at that going, yes. So if the Bills have a lead and all they have to do is run out the clock without giving the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, is that something that they could do? And from what I've seen this season with the running game, I don't know if they could do it. Because you want to make the Chiefs use their timeout. So you obviously don't want to pass it and throw an incomplete pass and stop that clock and give the Chiefs a free timeout.
Well, so far in the playoffs, they've played the Indianapolis Colts, who was a top 5 defense this year, and then the Baltimore Ravens, who was a top 5 defense this year. Mm-hmm. The Bills' wins have been legitimate no matter how they're getting them. And their run game struggles in general, but whenever – the two remaining AFC teams and the Browns and the Chiefs, whoever the Bills are going to take on, whoever wins that game, their defenses aren't nearly as good as either one of those two teams. So if they get up, it's going to be easier for the Bills in that matter. Yes, the running game's not great. It's like I said, it's nothing to write home about. Nobody's excited about Devin Singletary as their lead back in their backfield. Buffalo Bills fans, I know you agree, but they could make it happen against the Browns or the Chiefs. Absolutely.
All right. So J-Mac, my final question for you in this game is, because we've given kind of a lot of shots after shots to Lamar Jackson because of his lack of winning in the playoffs for his first 3 years. And we know that his contract is going to be coming up soon and he's going to have to sign a new contract. So with his first 2 playoff years, he lost them both. This year he finally came out, got his first win against Tennessee, and then he loses this game in rather kind of a poor fashion. Did not look very good in this game. How much do you think that these last 3 years in the playoffs is going to affect his contract with signing with Baltimore?
Well, I'll ask you a question before I answer that. And anyone can jump in here and let me know. So his playoff record is what exactly?
1-2.
1-2. And Blake Bortles' playoff record is what?
Better than that.
2-1. So my only point is, will it affect his contract? Yes, because it should. Because of that fact alone, I mean, you have a quarterback that should never have started in the NFL in Blake Bortles and has 2 playoff wins versus Lamar Jackson having 1. So. Mm-hmm. And what do we always talk about? Why does everyone say Brady is the GOAT? Because of championships. So, I mean, if you're going to go off that regard like everyone else does, and I know Will and I hate the GOAT talk, and I completely agree with Will, and we're both on the same page, but however, you can't have it one way for one person and not for the other one. If you can't win in the playoffs, your contract talks are gonna not be as good as they probably should be.
It's not like he's not going to make his money. He might not get as much as he wants, but he's still going to make his money. Absolutely. Guy's an MVP already.
Yeah, and so backing that up for a second, because you did say that Lamar Jackson was 1-2, but I was actually going to say it before Nate had posted. Lamar Jackson's actually 1-3 because if you remember, this is his 3rd year, and then he made it to the playoffs his first year, lost his first year, and then he lost last year, and then he lost again this year in the playoffs. So
I forgot he filled in for Flacco that year.
Yeah, so he's actually 1-3 in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think that this is going to definitely affect his contract. He's not going to definitely get as much as somebody like Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson or somebody like that. He's definitely not going to. All right, so now we can jump into our games that are going to happen tomorrow. Of course, the first game in the morning that we have is the Cleveland Browns versus the Kansas City Chiefs. We're sitting up here already talking about how the Buffalo Bills are going to take on the Kansas City Chiefs next week. Like a bunch of us are already like writing off the Cleveland Browns, saying that they don't have a shot at beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I think there's a lot of people around the world right now that are saying that the Cleveland Browns don't have a shot at the Kansas City Chiefs. But I'll tell you one reason why I truly believe that the Cleveland Browns will have a shot at this game is because of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They have that great 1-2 punch. So they have that formula that if you want to beat the Chiefs, all you have to do is keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. And so how can they do that? Well, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That is one way you do it. Just run the ball, and the Chiefs will not get a lot of time on offense. But you got to make sure that if you're running the ball a lot, you got to actually put up points. That is the big thing. You can't eat the clock up and then not get any points and then give it back to Patrick Mahomes, because the Chiefs are going to go down and score. So you still have to cash in even if you're eating up the minutes. You still have to score on those drives. But we do know that Cleveland Browns are getting healthy again. They're getting more guys back tomorrow. I think that's going to be huge. I think everybody was shocked last week that Cleveland beat the Steelers the way that they did. Like, the Steelers had to really climb back in that game in the second half. But this is the one that if you get a lead like that against Kansas City Chiefs, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you cannot let up, because this Chiefs team can come back just like that. They can score just like that. They have weapons everywhere, a Tyreek Hill, a Travis Kelce, and don't forget a Sammy Watkins, a Mikael Hardman. So these things concern me with the Cleveland Browns, is that can they put up enough points? Can they keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs? I don't know right now. And is their defense going to be good enough to slow them down? But you know what? I'm going to actually go with the underdog in this one, because I would love to see it. I'm sorry. I would love to see a Buffalo Bills and Cleveland Browns AFC championship, because nobody would see it coming. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns in this one. And I'm going to give them, and I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-point game. Cleveland's going to end up winning by 3. So J-Mac, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, man. Well, here's what I'll tell you. In my opinion, if Cleveland wins this game, it's because it's a low-scoring game and both teams score under 20 points. If either team scores, if Kansas City scores more than 20 points, Cleveland's not keeping up with them. And you're right about the fact that if they're running the ball, keeping Mahomes off the field, they have to score. Because if they don't and they're trading field goals for touchdowns, it's going to get out of hand quick, like it did in reverse for them last week in Pittsburgh. And one other thing to remember is, I guarantee you Kansas City's not turning it over twice in the first 3 minutes. So you're not going to be up 14-0 but in the blink of an eye in this game. So if they win, they'll have to hold Kansas City to under 20 points. I don't see that happening. I got Kansas City. I don't think it's going to be as crazy as Nate just said, 49-48.
No.
I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that. But I got Kansas City like 38-27. It'll be respectable. I think that Cleveland will keep it a respectable game, but they won't win it in the end.
I do agree with you on that, though, J-Mac, because this Cleveland team is not built to be able to come back if they get behind by a lot. This is a team that can't do that because they're so reliant on the running game. So they have to make sure that they're scoring touchdowns. So before we go to Will, I'll give it to the Vic on this one. Vic, go ahead and give me your thoughts on this game.
I'm taking Kansas City. I think that Cleveland's going to come in with a big head, with a big idea that they just beat the Steelers. They got over the hump. Nobody can stop us now, and they're going to get ahead of themselves. They're going to overthink things, and they're going to succumb to Patrick Mahomes and the phenomenal offense that Andy Reid has created. I mean, there's no catching Tyreek Hill once he gets on outside or inside, up, down, backwards, forwards. Doesn't matter which way he goes. You can't catch him. Travis Kelce's just going to topple over any defense that Cleveland can offer. Like J Max said, I mean, they're not going to get the turnovers like they did against Pittsburgh. That was just completely bizarre. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime thing. That's a Madden game happening right there, where you get two turnovers like that, boom, boom, and you're up 14-0 before there's 1 minute off the clock. So I think the Chiefs are going to take. I think it's going to be pretty high scoring game for Kansas City. Cleveland's going to stick around for a little bit, but they're gonna phase out and unfortunately succumb to Patrick and his Mahomes.
And his Mahomes. Patrick and his Mahomes. All right, Will, go ahead and give me your thoughts on this game.
Well, first off, need to address Nate. 49-48 is a combined total of 97 points, which would be the highest scoring game in playoff history. It's not happening. Let's just get that out of the way. Like J-Max said, if the Browns are going to win this game, it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be a long, slow game because that's what the Browns do best. They run the ball, and that's going to take time off the clock. They're going to have 14-play drives. They're going to have 12-play drives, and it's just going to be long, continuous football. And it's going to end up a score like the Bears and Saints game, or like the Bills and Ravens game. It's going to just be so slow, and it's just going to be a snooze fest, really. Get that out of here. I'm talking. But whenever I'm sitting here talking about your points, don't put your own points on the screen. All right, let me finish my point. But I think this game is going to be closer than people think. I think Kansas City hasn't beaten a team by multiple possessions since week 8, I want to say.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit sooner than that, but it's been a long time. They haven't beat anybody by multiple possessions in quite some time. And not to mention, none of their starters have played a game in 3 weeks. They sat out, this week being the third week, that is. They sat out last week due to the bye. And then the week prior to that, they sat all their starters. None of them got a snap. So not only were they playing teams a little too close, but now they're cold. They haven't played. They haven't been out there in game time speed. They haven't been doing it like the Browns have. And I think the Browns are honestly, I'm gonna go a little bit against Vic on this one. I think the Browns are gonna come into this game kind of humble. We didn't see Baker go into the Steelers game talking all that crap like he used to in college. Whenever Baker was in college, he knew he was the big man on campus, and he knew that he was the force to be reckoned with. And I think now, after beating the Steelers and everything, we didn't really hear Baker talk much until after the Browns won. Then he came out and he said some things, but we haven't heard a word from him going into Kansas City. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have been talking a little bit too much for the Browns not to give them a good game, because I just want the Steelers wide receiver just to shut up. I really do. I just wish that you guys would, if you guys are going to talk, you need to be there. And they're not there. They're sitting there talking crap from Cancun, smoking cigars on a hammock with a freaking coconut in their hand. They're not doing anything. So what are you talking smack about? If they're that bad, why didn't you win? But other than that, I think the Browns are going to keep this a lot closer than everybody thinks. I think this is the betting line has a 10-point spread for Kansas City, and I think that's just embarrassing. I think that's almost insulting to the Cleveland Browns. I think this team's a lot better than people think whenever it comes to the offensive standpoint. I think both teams' defenses are a little too sketchy, but at the end of the day, I can't go against 15. 15 in red right there on the right side of the screen. That guy is just too good. Like I said, I think the game's going to be closer. I still believe in the Chiefs, though. At the end of the day, it's Andy Reid, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's everybody on that offense. They're phenomenal. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. I mean, they can score at will. If you were watching, I know the two above me were. I'm not sure if Vic managed to catch it or not. If you saw the game between the Rams and the Packers today, right before half, the Packers had like 28 seconds left right before half, and they managed to take a drive all the way to the opposite field just to get 3 points right before half. That's what Travis. That's what Patrick Mahomes can do, but he can do it with 7 points. And it doesn't matter how many. There could be 6 seconds on the clock, and I trust Patrick Mahomes to get a touchdown, and he can be on his own 20. It's ridiculous. Like, the things that he pulls off are just crazy. I can't go against the Chiefs. They're riding too high. But honestly, if a team's going to upset them, it might be the Browns. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs in the end.
All right. So, Will, the one thing that I will say about what you said about the Chiefs being off for 3 weeks, I'm actually really, really good friends with a Chiefs fan.
Mhm.
And when they clinched that number 1 seed, then he found out that the Chiefs were actually benching their starters on offense as Mahomes and then Hill. He came out and actually messaged me and said, "I'm concerned." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm concerned because," he's like, "I'm very concerned." He's like, "Because for the last 8 weeks, our offense has not been right. We have not been gelling the way that we should be gelling, and we're not beating teams like the way that we should be beating teams." He's like, "So for us coming in, clinching that number 1 seed, and then Andy Reid going, you know what, we're going to bench our starters." He's like, "This concerns me a lot because we're definitely not going to be in rhythm when we come back out. And are we going to be worse than we already were before?" He's like, "I don't know at this point." So that could be something that you might want to pay attention to, because we know that they were not quite right before they went in that first round bye. Something was not quite right about the offensive side.
And
But even when they're not quite right, they're still the number 1 seed with the bye. So I mean, they're not quite right, are just probably just as good as Cleveland being just right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
at the end of the day, a bad day for the Chiefs is a good day for a lot of teams. And I mean, it's they aren't clicking like they're used to. They aren't putting up the production that they're used to. But whenever you look at it from that point, there's also no team clicking more than the Cleveland Browns. There's no team putting up better offensive production than the Cleveland Browns. I mean, Baker Mayfield for the last 10 weeks of the season is rated the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. He's been absolutely outstanding. He's been playing phenomenal, and everybody talks about the running game. Over his last, I want to say it was the last 10 games, Baker Mayfield's thrown 19 touchdowns to 2 picks. Kid's been out. He's been lights out. He's been playing great. Nobody does play action passing better than Baker Mayfield. He sells it great. He's got the running backs to be able to sell it. They're a good team. They're very underestimated. But at the end of the day, like Vic said, a bad day for the Chiefs is a good day for a lot of teams. And even if they come out and have a bad game, I understand it's the playoffs. It's a completely different situation. But if they have a bad game, that's still manageable. They're that good of a team, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
They only put up 17 against the Falcons, which is the biggest red flag I've ever heard in my life. You should definitely put up more than 17 against the Atlanta Falcons. But at the end of the day, they did enough to win. It's
You
not
only
like
be
they
1 point
lost.
better.
But that's my point that I'm trying to say, though. You come in the playoffs and you're not gelling on offense like you should be, and then you come out and you only put up 17 points against an Atlanta Falcons team. Well, if you come in to a playoff game against like the Cleveland Browns or a Buffalo Bills team, and you're not gelling and you put up 17 points, I don't think that that's going to be enough to beat one of these teams. Honestly, I don't.
Well, 28 points almost wasn't enough for Cleveland last week. I mean, Cleveland got up 28-0 and still almost blew the lead. Whenever it came down to it, they had 4 picks and 28-point advantage to start the game and still almost lost. I mean, there's no reason why the Steelers are in that game. Granted, they had a lot of people out. Their number 1 and 2 corners were out of that game, and they're getting them back this week, which is huge. That's going to help out a lot. Denzel Ward, and I can't remember the other guy's name, and I feel bad for even bringing it up and not knowing who it is.
Hayden? It's Joe Hayden.
No, Joe Hayden's on the Steelers.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Steelers. I'm sorry.
No, I'm talking about the Browns. They were missing Denzel Ward and whoever their second corner is. I want to say his last name's Johnson, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were talking about the Steelers. My bad.
Oh no, you're fine.
Right.
They were missing 2 of their 3 best linebackers, but they had a lot of people missing last week, and obviously this team's still missing Odell, which has been a godsend to the Browns. It's worked out so well. It's made them such a better team, and I actually heard a comment that Baker doesn't feel like he has to force it into Odell all the time now, and it's true. I mean, I feel like that's honestly true. I feel like he can spread the ball out. He's more spreading the wealth. You're seeing Donovan Peoples-Jones play well. Higgins is playing well. Landry's playing better. I mean, this team is really coming together. And yes, what's ever made you think the Chiefs are going to lose a game, though? Even whenever they're down, they could be down 17-0 against in that Falcons game, and I'd be like, no, they're going to win. It could be 17-0 with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and I'm like, well, they still got a shot. I would never count out the Chiefs. I don't care the point differential. It's just there's something magical in the right hand of number 15 over there, and for some reason, no matter how much time's left, he gets it done. And I can't bet against him. The 10-point spread I can bet against. That's stupid. I think that's a little bit too much. But if you gave me a pure money line, I'm taking the Chiefs.
All right, so now why don't we go ahead and jump into our next game of that night, the final game of the weekend, which is actually the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. So the New Orleans Saints has already beaten Tampa Bay 2 times this year. We know it's very, very hard to beat a team 3 times. So
But
Vic,
it's going to happen.
So, Vic, I will go ahead and I'll start out with you on this one because you're already saying it's going to happen. So, are you saying this is going to be another blowout or is it going to be a close game? Because if you remember the 2 times these guys played, which they played, I believe it was week 1 when they played, and that was a close game. But then the second time they played, the Saints came out and just annihilated the Buccaneers. So, how are you saying this game's going to go?
I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I don't think it's going to be a nail biter at the end. I think Drew Brees is on a different level this year. He's back. He's healthier. He took some games off like he needed to. Got healthy. He's got Kamara in the background in the backfield. You got Michael Thomas back. You got Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, they're just stacked on offense, and their defense has just been the shocker for me because New Orleans defense has always been god awful, and it seems like this year they finally got it all together. And I think Tampa Bay, give them kudos. They came in, they took a while to meld and get on the same page, and they're playing well. But I mean, Drew Brees just has the time with the guys on his side. I mean, he's got years with these guys. They know what one's going to do before the next one does it. Whereas, Brady just has that basically with Gronk even a little bit. So I think it's going to be a double-digit win for the Saints in the end. It's not going to be a blowout, but it's not going to be a nail-biter. I mean, it's going to be like a 14, 17-point win, coming down. Tom's going to give it his best, but his days are over. It's time for, it's time for him to retire and set up camp on ESPN.
Wow.
All right, J-Mac?
Well, I'll tell you, I was looking some stuff up, and they do say how hard it is to beat a team 3 times in the season. But I was looking that up, and it's actually happened 17 times in the NFL. Most recently, the Cowboys over the Eagles in 2009. 2008, the Steelers beat the Ravens 3 times. 2004, the Rams beat the Seahawks 4 times. And then you look up the statistics of the whole thing, and since the merger in 1970 through 2019, teams that swept an opponent during the regular season and then faced them again in the playoffs have won the game 67% of the time, and they're actually 14-7 in those games. So I guess the favor swings towards the New Orleans Saints to beat the Buccaneers. I will tell you, it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to come down to one possession in the end, and it's going to be whichever one of these guys has the ball last. I do think the Saints will play a little harder for Drew Brees, knowing that is probably his swan song, and he's out after this year. But again, keep that in mind. Those teams have won 67% of the time. So, I mean, it is said over and over again, but the stats say it differently. So.
Okay. All right. Will.
I'm with the 33%. I am not going against Tom Brady. I'm not doing it. At the end of the day, in the wild card round, both of these teams concerned me in a way, but they did it completely differently. So the Saints concerned me on the offensive end. The Bucs concerned me on the defensive end. Now, the Bucs were facing Taylor Heineke, not exactly the quarterback you planned for. You're missing Shaq Barrett due to the COVID list. There's all types of problems going on, and it just seemed like the defense didn't play as well as they could have. Saints, on the other hand, just got Alvin Kamara back, just got Michael Thomas back, just got Drew Brees back. They're healthy, and their offense still concerned me. And that's what concerns me most, is that the Bucs were missing players, and that's why it was concerning. The Saints got everybody back, and it was still concerning. Drew Brees has been playing. People have been saying Drew Brees doesn't have it anymore. Drew Brees still has it, okay? And people have been saying Tom Brady doesn't have it anymore. Tom Brady's never lost it. Tom Brady's honestly never lost a step. Tom Brady still plays at a great elite level. Both of these quarterbacks are great. If anybody's losing a step, it is Drew. You don't see Drew hit those deep balls as much as he used to, but Tom Brady can still air it out with the best of the quarterbacks right now. He's still a phenomenal deep threat. Obviously his game is the check down. He's the nickel and dime guy. He's the yards after catch guy with all of his wide receivers, but he has a different system now. Antonio Brown and him have been gelling like never before, like they never did on the Patriots. Mike Evans and him are a great combo. Chris Godwin is still a little bit, honestly, underused in that system. But whenever you have all the weapons that he has, somebody's gonna lose a little bit of the portion of it, and it just happens to be Chris Godwin. But the Bucs defense is still great, and so is the Saints defense. Honestly, they're both great on both sides of the ball. It's probably why they're here in the divisional round. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna bet against Tom Brady. Tom Brady just makes it happen. I don't think there's gonna be, and the fun part is the Saints always find a way to lose. That they always do. Drew Brees always finds a way to choke it, or something stupid happens to the Saints. It was the Minneapolis Miracle. It was that stupid pass interference call against the Rams. There's always something with the Saints. There's always going to be a reason for Michael Thomas to get on his phone and run to Twitter and complain after the game. And it's going to be the same exact thing this game. It's going to be something stupid to where probably like Cameron Jordan is going to come around the edge. Tom Brady's going to get the ball off, and Cam Jordan's going to push Tom Brady down. It's going to be a roughing the passer call, and it's going to put him in the red zone. And then the Bucs are going to score, and that's going to be the deciding factor. And then you're going to see Michael Thomas be like, "Oh, quarterbacks are just too soft nowadays," all over Twitter, and it's going to be annoying like it is every year. And he's going to crybaby his way into being the best receiver in football. It's stupid. It happens to the Saints every single year. I don't see why it's not going to happen this year. The Bucs are great on offense. They're great on defense. So are the Saints, but the Saints have everybody, and they played questionable against the Bears. Sure, the Bears are a great defense, but so are the Bucs. Like it's just something tells me that the Bucs are going to win this game. I don't see why they wouldn't, so I'm going with Tampa Bay.
For me, this was really, really close because honestly – a lot of people were asking me saying, which team would you rather play? Would you rather play the Bucs or would you rather play the Saints? To me, it doesn't really matter because I think either opponent's going to be tough. So it personally doesn't matter. But if I wanted to play, the only reason that I was saying picking Drew Brees is because if Drew Brees is going to retire after this year, I would like to at least see him make it to the NFC championship, at least make it that far. If he's going to call it a career after this season, which I think we're all in agreement that we think that this is probably his final year. This is going to be it. He was that close to retiring before the season started. So, and the other thing is, there has been a lot of talk, Will, like you said, about, Drew Brees losing it. We know, though, that he has lost it on that deep ball. He does not have that deep ball like he used to. He just can't get enough air under it. He can't throw it 60 yards anymore. Maybe 50, maybe 45, but he can't do the 60 anymore. And so in this season, and especially in this game too, he's going to have to rely a lot on Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray, and a lot of checkdowns to Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. And then in the end, maybe Jared Cook gets involved a little bit, but he hasn't really utilized Jared Cook a whole lot this year like I was actually expecting him to, but it hasn't been there. But right now, just because I actually like Drew Brees, I'm going to actually go ahead and I'm going to say that the Saints are going to win it by 3. It's going to be a close game, and the Saints are going to win it on like a last-second field goal. So I think 3 of us have the Saints, 1 has the Bucks, and then there's a whole bunch of mixed reactions in the comments. We're getting people that are saying Saints, people that are saying Bucks. So I think this could end up being the game of the weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
This is probably going to be the game of the weekend right here.
If Drew Brees shows up and is Drew Brees, this will be the game of the weekend. Easily.
Oh, absolutely.
Not even close. This will be phenomenal.
And I'll tell you, either both defenses are going to show up. It's going to be a very low scoring game, or both offenses are going to light it up, and it's going to be a very, very high scoring game. But if I had to choose right now, I would probably take the earlier that I said, and I think it's going to be a defensive game. I don't think the offense is going to score a lot of points in this game.
Fun fact, though, Drew Brees is 5-2 against Tom Brady all time. Drew Brees is one of the only quarterbacks with a winning record against Tom Brady. Fun fact.
That was a fun fact. All right.
Can I just say one thing quick, Ace?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I will admit myself, I can't put my finger on a reason why tonight not like Tom Brady. He's been successful. But I will tell you he earned a little bit of respect from me last week after the game with Washington. His comments concerning Alex Smith. And I don't know if you guys saw them also, but when he went and talked to him after the game, a reporter asked Alex Smith what he said, and Brady, and I won't say the exact words because we're on the air and we're not allowed to do that, but basically he told him, I'm so proud. I'm so explicit proud of you, man. Like, you are an inspiration to everybody. And if you ever need anything, I'm right here. You get a hold of me and I will do anything for you that you ever need. And I mean, that's think about that. This is a guy that's won 6 championships telling someone else that he's inspired by his story. So that's a little bit of respect for Tom Brady, just so we're not bashing on the guy the entire time.
For sure.
All right. So that actually cleared up all of the games for this weekend. So it's like I was telling Will before we came on, we actually have a little game tonight called Deal or No Deal. And I think that this is going to be a fun game because this is like everybody's going to be a GM. So it's like you're kind of building your own team in a way.
Did you say it's going to be a fun game?
Fun.
Fun.
Yeah, because you're a GM, it's like you're building your own team. So
I'm here.
You're there. So
are we auctioning against each other? I've got
no.
Oh,
All right.
With all your $1 bills.
There's a couple 5s.
So
4 5s.
Since Will has a podcast called GM for Hire.
Hey, thanks for the plug. Everybody go follow that on YouTube.
I am actually going to go ahead and start with my first question for Will, and I'm going to say deal or no deal for, let's say, the Houston Texans call the Chicago Bears and say, Chicago, we're going to offer you a trade right now. We will trade you Deshaun Watson, but in return, you have to give us Khalil Mack and 2 first-round picks. Are you going to go deal or no deal?
Wow. For that package, no deal. That's way too much. If you wanted to, Khalil Mack's the one yelling at me. 2 first-round picks we could do. 2 first-round picks is something that's doable, especially for somebody like Deshaun Watson, because if we got Deshaun Watson, a lot of players are going to want to come to Chicago. Deshaun Watson's that kind of guy to where you're going to look at this defense and you're going to look at Deshaun Watson being the guy at the helm, and a lot of people are going to be very interested in coming to Chicago. But the thing is, one of those 2 things I said that you're excited about is the defense. And if Khalil Mack's not there, that defense takes a big hit. They say that Khalil Mack hasn't been as effective and everything like that. In three seasons with the Bears, he still had 30 sacks. Okay, and if 10 sacks a season is not productive, I don't know what is. It's not what he's been doing. It's not the 15. It's not the 18. But at the end of the day, 10 sacks is great, and it's made the rest of our players better. A lot of people don't didn't know who Akeem Hicks was before he got there. And Akeem Hicks has been absolutely amazing. We've seen how much of a difference maker he can be with somebody else on the opposite side of the ball. Roquan Smith has been amazing as a blitzing linebacker and has really made the transition to the league very well. It's Khalil Mack, no matter if he's on the stat sheet or not, makes the whole team better. As much as we need a quarterback, I can't do Khalil Mack and 2 first-round picks. You're going to pick one or the other. And so for that, I would say no deal. So
your fellow Chicago Bears fan and Mess Around Dave said Monopoly money. He said, I'm going with deal. So he immediately came out and said, I'm taking that deal because he would rather have that going to be elite quarterback.
Mess Around is thinking of the past. We need to think about the future with moves. He realizes that Jay Cutler's the best quarterback to ever put on a Bears uniform. And trust me, I do too, Dave. I do. I get it. But at the same time, I'd rather win football games on both sides of the ball than take Jay Cutler off the record books. So I'm going with no deal because I need a good both sides of the ball. We can find a happier medium than Deshaun Watson than to get rid of Khalil Mack. We can find a way to do it. So no deal.
All right. So Vic, this one comes to you. Would you take that deal if you are the Chicago Bears?
That does not set us up for 10 years. Sorry, I saw that comment. That's ridiculous. That does not say no.
Deshaun Watson for 2 first rounds and Khalil Mack, huh?
Yes.
Accurate.
I would say deal.
Wow.
I'd take the chance. I mean, you need that franchise guy to pull in, the others. And Khalil Mack's not pulling them in. That's proven. He's not pulling anybody in from the free agency market. Wide receivers, defensive people might want to pull in if they got somebody like Deshaun on the other side of the ball, other than Mitchell. Like you said, your 2 first rounders you can deal with. You can pull in the free agencies, but I think it'd be a great deal. I'd take it.
All right, J-Mac, deal or no deal?
I think so. I do agree with one thing Will said, that you're thinking of the past instead of the future, but I can also see the other side of the coin on that one, because you've had great defenses. That's what Chicago's known for, running the ball and playing great defense, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's won you a Super Bowl, yes, and gotten you to another one.
Correct.
If you get a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, where's that going to lead you in the future? You don't know, because Chicago's never had a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. I would have to say deal, because you got to roll the dice once in a while and be like, hey, where's this going to lead us? We can't do any worse at quarterback than we have done in the past. It can't lead us any worse than we've already been. So roll the dice, take the deal, and see what happens.
Wow.
Wow.
How is the one Bears fan, the one guy who doesn't want Deshaun Watson on the Bears right now? What is happening?
So,
I mean, your big argument was Deshaun, would pull in the free agents, right?
Yeah.
That's why you would, you're passing the deal because,
right?
But is Khalil Mack pulling in the free agents like Deshaun would?
I mean, whenever you look at it like that, or is Deshaun pulling in any free agents in Houston? I mean,
they're trading them all
because
away.
Houston trades them away for a bag of chips.
Yeah, and we're about to trade away our best defensive player and 2 first-round picks for a guy who hasn't brought in anybody
you're
either.
getting someone that can pull in offensive weapons.
Yeah, you're not trading him for a bag of chips either. So you're not going to take.
You're not getting David Johnson and
Michael Bishop. Not a bag of chips, and sure, he had DeAndre Hopkins, who was drafted into that organization. But has anybody else came to the organization?
Why
That's
would
the
they?
point we're making. Has anybody came to the Houston Texans and tried to become a part of the Houston Texans? I'm
given
with
the ownership. Why would anybody want to go there?
Hey.
But free agents see the ownership taking the initiative in Chicago like that. They're really like, that's a place that wants to win. That's what they're taking that leap.
But when you make the same deal for Khalil Mack, who's arguably the second best defensive player in the entire world, nobody made that initiative then. So
Mac's not the
even
greatest
going to
defensive player in the entire world,
if
though.
we're not going to go get the number 2 or number 1 quarterback, what's the initiative?
That's a Chicago delusional take right there. Chicago delusional take is that Mac is the greatest.
Delusional?
Because Mac's not the greatest defensive player in the world.
I said second.
He said second.
He's not the second greatest defensive player in the world.
Who's better than Aaron Donald?
Roquan Smith is better than him right now on the Bears. So he's not the second greatest.
You need to quit smoking your dinner, sir.
No.
We're talking about the NFL here. Roquan Smith has been in the league for 3 years and hasn't sniffed Mac's jockstrap.
Oh, man.
Okay, Mac is by far the better player. As a guy who watches him week in and week out, you don't need to be on the stat sheet to know that Khalil Mack is the better player. That's ridiculous. You think Roquan Smith is a better defensive player than Khalil Mack? We need to have drug tests on the ASAP network. This is ridiculous. That is the silliest thing I've ever heard.
The person that I would put up there with Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald, because I really think it would be close, would be Von Miller. It would be really, really close. Von Miller
on a football field in 3 years.
Von Miller.
Now he's dealing with allegations about something.
Yes,
I don't even know what.
Which they haven't came out and said exactly what it was yet. So we don't know what that is yet. So we are waiting to hear that. But do I agree that Roquan Smith is better than Mac? No, I don't agree with that. But if you're going to ask me right now, I'm going to take Aaron Donald over Khalil Mack. And when I came up with Von Miller, I didn't say now. I'm just saying what player was better and what player would I have taken over Khalil Mack. It would have been Von Miller.
He said he didn't hear the 2 first. He said Max or Watson. Sure, but he didn't hear the 2 first.
Oh, okay. Look
at that. So, Bears fans wouldn't take that deal.
Okay. So hold on, because there has been a huge – so this was even a debate. I'm sure you guys saw this in the chat one time because we were talking about Deshaun Watson when it came up with the whole trade thing. And so we're actually talking about another quarterback because this came up with the quarterback swap. So if you are the Seattle Seahawks, because this was brought up by Landon Hammonds because, he's that Seattle Seahawk fan. So this was brought up by him, who said that if Houston was to offer a trade for Russell Wilson and say they want Russell and he would get Deshaun Watson on Seattle, he said he would go ahead and take that deal any day. So, J-Mac, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. If Houston was going to call you and you're the Seattle Seahawks GM, and they said, I'll give you Watson for Russell Wilson, are you taking that trade?
Before he answers, is this just 1 for 1?
This is 1 for 1.
No picks, no other players, 1 for 1, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson.
No other picks, no other players. This is 1 for 1.
Got it.
Am I taking that deal?
Yeah.
No, not in a million years. I would ask the Houston GM what he's smoking and ask him if he needs a drug test, and the NFL should drug test the GMs because come on, who's meant more to their franchise in the last 5 years? And if you start with me on that crap about anyone else other than Russell Wilson, you're wrong. Wilson has meant more. He's won more games. He's meant more to his franchise in the last 5 years than any other player in the NFL. Why are you going to ship him off for Deshaun Watson? No.
All right. Will, I see you kind of shaking your head there, which makes me think that you're going to say deal on this one.
This is a lot harder than the other one. I'll give it that in that opinion. The only thing it's weird for me is because I said you have to think about the future. And Deshaun Watson's going to have more years with a team if he gets moved just because he's younger. But no, I wouldn't do that. No, I agree with J-Mac. Russell Wilson does mean a lot to the Seattle Seahawks. Absolutely. This team, it's been said before that without Russell Wilson, this team would be like a 5-win team or a 4-win team. Russell Wilson keeps them in games. Sure, he may have lost a few this year as well, but that's what happens when you're literally the difference maker on this team. It's not just every quarterback. Some teams have different difference makers. Really, the difference maker in Seattle is Russell Wilson. If he has a bad game, Seattle's going to play bad. If he has a good game, they're going to play well because their defense can't stop anything. It's just a stoplight that's constantly on green. The offenses just run right through that defense. It doesn't matter. But their offense has to click to win games. Just because of what Russell Wilson's already made over there with Seattle. Obviously, him and Pete Carroll have a great relationship. Him and DK have already made a great duo there. He's been with the organization forever. And honestly, if it wasn't for him, this team would be in the cellar of that NFC West division. So, no, just mainly just because of what J-Mac said, because of what he means to the team, I wouldn't take that.
All right. Vic, deal or no deal? Since you're, Seattle fan.
That's no deal. Russell's got a special connection with that franchise. I mean, he means more to that franchise than I think any Seahawk that's played there. Aside from Largent maybe, but with Russell, you know what you're getting. Deshaun has some. He's to prove himself a little more before he can be traded on the caliber of a 1-for-1 with a Russell Wilson. So, I mean, Deshaun's talented, absolutely, but not on a 1-for-1 deal for Russell Wilson. There's no way that's ever going to happen.
All right. So our next question is, we are going to fly over to Dallas now. Okay. So you are now,
deal. Anything helps.
Yep.
Deal.
So you are the GM of the Dallas Cowboys, right? So you come in and you're like, okay, who's next in line? Oh, guess what? It's Dak Prescott, who's now walking in your office after the season you just had. And Dak Prescott's like, I'm not going to take anything less than $35 million per season. I want it right now. And after the season you saw with Dallas, is that going to be a deal or no deal? And Vic, I'm going to go ahead and start with you.
$35 million a season?
Minimum.
I mean, that's more than Big Ben makes, and oh man, Dak's good, but he's not $35 million a season good. He's not better than Aaron Rodgers or anybody like that, because that's more than he makes too. So that put him like the third highest paid quarterback in the NFL. With how many years has he been playing? Like 4.
Yeah, so the reason I asked this question is because you would have a choice at this point, because you would have to look at, okay, the season might be getting ready to start, and Dak's like, if you don't pay me my $35 million, I'm going to sit out, or you have to roll with Andy Dalton for the full season. Are you going to roll with Andy Dalton? Are you going to give Dak?
Roll with Andy Dalton. I can go out in free agency. I can trade for somebody. If he's going to put that ultimatum out where he thinks he earned $35 million, where he should be the top 3 pay his quarterback in the NFL, higher than Aaron Rodgers or Ben Roethlisberger, hell no. He's sitting the bench. He's riding the pine.
Okay. J-Mac.
Well, I mean, put in those terms, would I ride with Andy Dalton for a whole season? Let's just face the fact that the problem this season in Dallas was not the offense. Okay? Their defense was horrible. The defense was awful. So if I got to make some decisions, I have to put some money into my defense and try to make that defense better. And if that means that I have to sacrifice giving Dak Prescott $35 million a year, I'm probably going to sacrifice giving Dak Prescott $35 million a year, because I still have a top 5 running back in the NFL in my backfield in Ezekiel Elliott. And I think it was Will who pointed to this earlier on an earlier episode of Sports Minute before he was actually on the show. We all talk about how Zeke had an off year. Well, first off, he was the one offensive weapon. I mean, they have other offensive weapons, but you got Andy Dalton. You had at one point like an undrafted rookie throwing the ball. Okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to hand the ball off a bunch, right? So which means you're going to stack in the box, and Zeke isn't going to have his normal numbers. He still averaged 91 yards from scrimmage this season. He's still an elite running back. So, no, I'm not giving Dak $35 million a year.
Okay. Will.
Going into 2022, I looked it up. He would not even be at $35 million. He wouldn't even be in the top 5 of salary quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins in 2022 will be making the most money at $45 million. Now, if I can pay a Kirk Cousins $45 million, or if I can pay a Dak Prescott $35 million, I'm spamming the $35 million on Dak Prescott. I wouldn't hit that button fast enough. And honestly, I'd sign him and kick Zeke right out the door to make salary cap room for the defense. Honestly, if I'm going to be completely real, I need that quarterback more than I need the running back. And Andy Dalton did his thing this year, but 6-10 is not good enough. And I don't care what crappy division you're in. I understand 6-10 was almost good enough. But when you're an actual winning franchise, what's 6-10 going to get you? It's going to get you that first-round spot in the playoffs just to get your butt whipped out in some other team, even though you're in front of your home crowd. No, I'm getting Dak Prescott, and I'm locking him up. At the end of the day, you're going to have to find somebody as good or better than Dak Prescott for me to not want to sign that deal. And right now, $35 million is – it's crazy to say this – but $35 million is reasonable for a quarterback right now. And that's disgusting to even say. Honestly, quarterbacks should have their own salary cap on every single team. But to make things work, I'd kick Zeke right out the door, and I would sign Dak Prescott, and I'd find a way to make it work. Anybody behind that offensive line should be able to have a good season with the right quarterback. Zeke's a good running back, sure, but you can get a big return for Zeke. And I could make it work. Absolutely.
Well, I just know the reason I asked that one is because, I've heard a lot about it coming both ways. I've heard other Dallas fans say, no, we shouldn't pay him that amount of money. And then I've heard from other ones going, yeah, pay it to him because, you paid Elliott and then you paid Cooper. And so now you have to look at the quarterback side. But then some of them are saying, you know what, roll with Andy Dalton because he's a cheaper choice. But I guess in that aspect, it's really, really tough because you would really have to think if Dak Prescott is worth it. Can he lead you to the promised land? I don't know. It's really, really tough at this point. So a few other names that we have heard that could be moved. We can even look at the Atlanta Falcons, and we've heard that Matt Ryan or Julio Jones could actually be on the move. Originally, Arthur Blank said no, but then he came back out and said, you know what? It could be a possibility that Julio Jones could be moved. So here's the thing. I don't think that the Atlanta Falcons would honestly do something like this, but let's say that the Atlanta Falcons would call the Jacksonville Jaguars, because if you're the Atlanta Falcons and you're going to trade Matt Ryan and Julio Jones away and you're basically restarting and rebuilding, and Atlanta Falcons call Jacksonville. Now we're throwing Matt Ryan out of this equation. We're just going with Julio Jones. And the Atlanta Falcons say that we will give you Julio Jones for your pick, just for that one pick. Are you going to do it? Deal or no deal?
Nobody. Okay, let me just start. No. Are you kidding me?
No.
The number one overall pick?
What?
Yeah,
For
there you go.
Julio Jones? For Julio, 31-year-old Jones?
'cause
Who's
then-
going to throw him the ball?
Right. And then what's going to happen with Atlanta sitting at number one with Matt Ryan, and you're going to take Devonta Smith now? And now Trevor Lawrence falls to the Jets? No, absolutely not. This is no. A 30-plus-year-old Julio Jones for the number one overall pick whenever Uncle Rico's going to be throwing him the ball? You're out of your mind. If I'm Shad Khan, I'm going to go spit at the GM in Atlanta. Like, no. I'm driving up to Atlanta to pee on their stadium, and I'm going back home.
All right, so let's throw something into perspective here. So let's make it a little bit more interesting, because
If the number one pick is involved, I'm still saying
yeah.
no.
And Alan, that wasn't a take. That was just a question. I did not say I would do it. So a take is being like, this is something I would do. It was a question.
Yeah, it's a mini game, buddy. Come on.
Huh?
I said, yeah, it's a mini game, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, it's a mini game. It's not a take. It's just a mini game. All right. So in perspective, let's say this. So let's up it a little bit if you are the Atlanta Falcons, and then the Jacksonville Jaguars in return would say, you know what? To even have Julio Jones, you're going to have to give me a quarterback on top of it. So if the Atlanta Falcons are going to throw in Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, is that still something you're going to do or not? Because you're getting a quarterback, but Matt Ryan is older, okay? Matt Ryan is older. I completely understand. Matt Ryan's older. You're getting a Julio Jones, and then you have a young receiving core still on Jacksonville. Is that something you're going to do or not?
Is it crazier for me to say with Matt Ryan, I'm almost more insulted to take this deal?
Always more insulted. And I'm with Dave Esparza on this one. Hell no, no deal.
Okay. All right, so
remember how I said that 35 wouldn't put Deshaun or wouldn't put Dak in the top 5? Matt Ryan's set to make $41 million. I'm not taking that contract. Keep in mind that's like 80% of the salary cap in Jacksonville. That's more than they make in ticket sales every year. Okay,
so to make this game interesting, because like I said, you guys are the GMs, so I'm trying to make a deal here. So I'm the Atlanta Falcons. You guys are Jacksonville. I want that number one. Horribly. No, I'm not done yet. Okay, so So I've thrown 2 out there. You've said no deal already. So I'm Atlanta Falcons. I want to rebuild, and I'm like, you know what? I don't. Let's get rid of Matt Ryan. Let's get rid of Julio Jones. I call you, and I'm like, okay, Jacksonville, what is it going to take for me to get that number 1 overall pick?
So what it's going to take for you to get that number 1 overall pick? Do you happen to have the phone number to the Houston Texans so I can get Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt?
Okay, hold up. I'm going to at least make this game fun.
Hold on. I'm just saying, who in Atlanta am I going to take for a first-round pick?
I'm going to at least say something that you could get from Atlanta, okay?
Yeah.
Because obviously they don't have Deshaun Watson. Unless they pull out some crazy move and they're going to flip him for the number 1 pick, which shout out to Atlanta for this kind of trickery. That's awesome. But that's not going to happen. So what do I need for the first overall pick? I need a pick swap. You're sitting in the top 5 as well. I need your pick as well. I need to only go back to number 4. I need your first round pick next year. I need a second round from this year. I need a third round pick from a future draft. And I also need Julio Jones, and that's minimum. And I'm telling you, that's the minimum you're getting away with. Yeah, I need pick swap. I need to go back 3 picks. I need a first round next year. I need the number 2 pick that you have this year, and I need your number 3 pick this year, along with Julio Jones. And you need to retain part of his salary, or you're not getting the number 1 overall pick. I'm sorry. The number 1 overall pick is so valuable, and I see you guys laughing, and I wish I was joking. I wish.
I know it's not.
This is. There's no way. Absolutely no way. Charlie Strong's an idiot. He's gonna. If Charlie Strong was in charge of this, he would not do this. Anyway, shout out Jags for signing Charlie Strong. Charlie Strong. That just means your team's gonna be worse next year. Congratulations on that. But other than that. No, it's going to be a monumental package for me to move from number 1, especially whenever we're getting this. Trevor Lawrence has been named as the once-in-a-generation quarterback. And that title, honestly, is not thrown around a lot. We've heard it for Andrew Luck. We've heard it for John Elway and maybe one other quarterback. And Andrew Luck, bearing injuries, could have been a once-in-a-generation quarterback. Honestly, if he would have actually stayed on the field, the kid was an animal. He just happened to retire young because of too many neck injuries, getting hit too much, which I understand. But no, no. It's going to take a lot. And then if you gave me that package, I'd still have to think about it. I still don't know if I do.
Okay. So now we're going to go we're going to go because this is another name that's been talking about being his last year actually as a Detroit Lion. So we can look at the Detroit Lions now and we can be like, okay, so let's say you are the New York Jets because you know you have a good pick. You have a good first-round pick as the Jets team. You also have Sam Darnold as your quarterback. So if the Jets call the Lions right now and say, we'll give you Sam Darnold and our first-round pick for Matthew Stafford, are you going to take that? Are you going to take that deal? Deal or no deal? And so, okay, so Vic, you're automatically saying deal.
Yeah, where do I sign? If I get Sam Darnold and the number 2 pick, where do I sign? Let's do it.
Wait, no, you're the Jets.
I'm the Jets.
Are we the Jets or the Lions? What are we doing here?
The Jets or the Lions?
You are. I'm sorry. You would be. So the Lions are saying that they want.
The Lions are calling me asking for Sam Darnold.
So you are. Yeah, you are the Jets. Pick. Yes, you are the Jets, and they're saying I want Sam Darnold and the number 2 pick for Matthew Stafford. Are you going deal or no deal?
Oh,
no deal. No.
I'm going deal.
Oh,
hell yeah, I'm going deal.
You're going deal.
Me? Hell yeah, I'm going deal. What are you going to get at number 2? Trevor Lawrence is gone. What are you going to get? You're not going to get Justin Fields. They've already made it clear that they're either going to rock with Sam Darnold or they're going to get Trevor Lawrence. And do you want to have Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco, or Matthew Stafford? Hell yeah, I'm taking that deal. Are you kidding me? I'd ask for I'd probably think about it a little bit because I'd want another pick. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm getting Matt Stafford, sure, he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to, but at the end of the day, they're trying to move him. Honestly, Sam Darnold in a first is cheaper than I thought he'd get moved for. Matt Stafford's awesome. Like, Matt Stafford's such a good quarterback. He keeps the Lions in games that they have no reason. It should be 0-16 every single year. Like, it should be the Dan Orlovsky curse, and they should never win a game. Like, they really shouldn't. If you look at their roster, it's garbage. But yeah, honestly, if I'm the Jets, Matt Stafford, clean slate, make it happen.
Wow. And it sounds like J-Mac was going to say no deal on that.
Oh, yeah, he was totally shaking his head no deal. Yeah. He was not having that.
And Mess Around is saying a no deal on that, too. So a lot of people are saying if you're the Jets, you don't want to do it.
I mean, Stafford's 32. He's a great quarterback, yeah, but he's 32. How many more years has he got with the New York Jets offensive line protected him? He hasn't got that much longer if that's the case. But with Darnold, I mean, Darnold's not the optimum choice, but you got the number 2 pick. You got Devontae Smith, who is a game changer. You got Najee Harris coming out of Alabama too, who's a game changer. So I mean, there's choices that New York can make in that second pick where I would say that's not a deal because I mean Stafford's 32. He's worn down. He's been hurt. But who's he gonna throw to? Who's he gonna hand off to? Who's gonna protect him? Who's gonna keep your huge investment healthy? When you give up, a first round pick and another first round pick for, a 32-year-old quarterback that's good, absolutely great, but he's not going to change the Jets into a good team. So it's just if Stafford was younger, then maybe, yeah. If he was maybe 24, 25, absolutely, 100% take that deal. But not a 32-year-old guy that's been beat down year after year in Detroit. That's just been, born to where he's if he's hurt, he's playing. And that's more power to him, but I mean that's going to cost him some time in his career. So I would say that's if he was younger, absolutely 100% deal, but no deal. It's too much.
J-Mac, what was your thoughts on that one?
I don't know. I might think about it, but in the end, I'm probably going to say no deal.
At least you thought about it.
If I'm the Jets, no, I'm getting an older quarterback, and again, who's he going to throw the ball to? I agree with Vic on that one. So, yeah, I'm probably saying no deal on that.
But if I'm the Lions, I'm saying hell yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. How could you not if you were the Lions? Because that would be, it would just be interesting because we don't exactly know how Sam Darnold's going to be yet because he hasn't really been around a lot of weapons.
I was going to say, I'll tell you how you don't if you're the Lions. You're getting Sam Darnold instead of Matt Stafford. That's how you say hell no. I'm saying hell no just from that. Are you kidding me? I'm going to win 3 less games every single year, but I'm going to have this great number 2 overall pick. Whatever. I don't care. The hell with you. That's what I'm going to do.
Whatever.
I'm going to do that right on the Jets office next time I'm in New York, or actually New Jersey, and I'm gonna be insulted as the Lions manager. If I'm the Jets, I got away with one.
Right? There you go.
Unfortunately, players aren't valued the way they should. So, like, be realistic. We can get Matt Stafford for like a 2nd round pick, but like if you're still gonna give away Sam Darnold, which gets salary cap off the books, if it 2nd overall pick, sure, whatever. What was I gonna draft there anyway? A quarterback probably. Now I got a quarterback who's already concrete, proven himself in the league. Sure, he's 32, but whenever we're looking at quarterbacks, I mean, Rodgers 37, Brady's 42. He's under contract till he's 44. You know, theoretically, when you're looking at quarterbacks, I got another 10 years of this guy. You know, obviously he's beaten and he's battered and everything. He's been playing against a way worse offensive line, but they can make something happen. Absolutely. I think I'd be along for the ride, and I'm just telling Matt Stafford, hey, let's suck it up this year. We're probably going to suck, but don't worry. It's going to work out. It's going to work out in the long run. We're going to turn around. We're going to let's play a little bad this year. Let's get right back into that number 2 pick next year. We'll go get a star wide receiver, and hey, next thing you know, we're winning football games out here in New Jersey.
Woo!
Hell yeah.
So speaking of that, because now this could be an interesting one, especially if you're looking at the Cincinnati Bengals side, right? And their pick, what's their pick? I think they're sitting at like number 4, number 5, or something like that.
I think they're at 6.
Yeah, like 6 or something like that.
You continue. I'll look up.
Yeah, and so you have. So we know that the 2 things that Cincinnati is going to need right now is they need offensive line. They're 5. So we know that they're going to need offensive line or even receiving help because we don't think that AJ Green's going to be there much longer. And so this is our last question of the night here is that if you can get help on the receiving side with somebody like Julio Jones, like I was saying, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, do you jump at that to come in and give Joe Burrow another weapon
for the number 5 pick?
Like a Julio Jones.
Not with the number 5
not
pick.
for a number 5 pick.
Oh my God, you guys are so – I'm totally taking that. Are you kidding? Julio Jones.
For a number 5 pick.
For number 5.
Number 3, number 4, number 2, number 1, Julio Jones. Yeah, I'm taking that. Oh my God.
That's crazy.
1 for 1 and that's it?
That's crazy.
It's crazy good. Joe Burrow and Julio Jones. That'd be ridiculous.
But I think with their –
who's going to protect Joey? Who's going to protect him?
No one was protecting him this year, and he's still throwing dimes. Sure, he doesn't have an ACL anymore, but if he can get it off quick, which is all Julio Jones does, it's not going to matter. I'm taking that heartbeat.
Which I'm saying that might be the biggest concern that they're looking at, though, is that you have a chance to get probably a Penny Sewell from the Oregon Ducks to help on that offensive line.
You stop it right now. You stop it right now.
I'm farting on that pick. I'm farting on that take because he will not be there. No, I'm farting on that take, Vic, because he won't be there at 5.
Oh, he won't be there at 5.
No. No. He ain't making. But the farthest he will fall is 4 to Atlanta. That is the farthest he will fall.
Yeah. So I'm saying though, if you have. So even going away from him though, if you have a chance to get off offensive line help and you're the Bengals, are you going to take Jones? Or are you going to go with the offensive line? Like that's what you got to look at. You know, which way you going to go with it?
Got to think protecting your QB long term. I mean, Julio's got maybe 2 or 3 more good years in him, whereas you draft a young lineman.
Julio Jones is a beast. I think it'd be hard to say no.
Right.
Like it would
I'm
legit.
I'm not saying it's easy, but you got to think past this year, past 1 year with Julio Jones. Is Joe Burrow going to be healthy if we got nobody blocking for him to throw to Julio Jones?
I mean,
You got to
At the
think
end of the
long term.
day, at the end of the day, I still have the 5th overall pick in the 2nd round, and I'm still going to get a very high quality guard like Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. A guy like that could fall. There's all types of offensive lineman recruits this year. Honestly, this is one of the deeper classes for offensive linemen. Now, if this was a different class, I'd have a little bit harder time saying yes. But since this class is so deep, we're talking about first-round talents who are going to be taken in the 3rd and 4th round of offensive line, just because a lot of teams are going to sit there and sit, because a lot of teams, like, it's not sexy to take the offensive lineman in the 1st round. It's not. It's the same thing. It's kind of taboo to take a running back in the 1st round. You just don't do it. Every time you do it, it typically doesn't work out. There's your exceptions, but for the most part, it doesn't work out. And especially in the Bengals case, they took a John Carter at number 1 overall pick, and he was probably the biggest bust of all time. But that's beside the point. Number 5. At number 5, am I going to take Julio Jones for just the number 1-5 pick swap, or am I going to take Devonta Smith? And sure, Devonta Smith could probably be around, or Jamar Chase, depending on which wide receiver is still there. I'm assuming Miami's going to take one. The way the way you're looking at it, it's probably going to be Lawrence at 1, Penei Sewell at 2, a wide receiver at 3, Justin Fields at 4, and the other wide receiver between Chase and Smith at 5.
What about Waddle? You got Waddle mixed in there?
Just because Waddle's hurt, I wouldn't consider it. Just because he's missed some time, and it's the same. That's the same reason why Devonta Smith is jumping up a lot, because Jamar Chase sat out this year. It's all because of recency bias. It's what have you done for me recently? Right now, Devonta Smith is the Heisman winner, which you don't see much out of wide receivers. I think the last one was Braylon Edwards, which is disgusting to think about, by the way. I'm taking Julio. I'm taking a guy who's proven that he can do it, not only at the top level, but at the top of the top level. He's been one of the best wide receivers since he's been in the league. I mean, he's an amazing route runner. The only reason he doesn't get all these touchdown numbers is because Matt Ryan doesn't look for him in the red zone. That's the only difference. I mean, he's still getting yards. He's still getting targets. He's still making his catches. He's still dominant. It's just a matter of not looking for him in the red zone, and they just go a different way. And for some reason, they always have, because last year, or maybe 2 years ago it was, Julio Jones had like 1,400 yards and 2 touchdowns the whole season. But just because you're not in the end zone doesn't mean you're not having a great season. Julio Jones can still beat any corner out there. I'm taking Julio because I know what I'm going to get out of him. Basically, if you're telling me if I have on a draft board right now, it's basically like cashing in the number 5 pick for Julio Jones. And that's awesome. If you told me, hey, you got this guy who's never done it before, he's a lot younger, or you got this guy who's got a couple, he's a little bit older, but he's got the experience under his belt and he's a proven wide receiver, I'm taking Julio Jones. 1 for 1, that's easy for me. I wouldn't even think twice about it, honestly. I'd be like, yeah, Julio Jones, let's run that up. I'm taking Elijah Vera Tucker in the 2nd round, or one of those, or Samuel Cosme out of Texas. I could take Liam Erickson out of Notre Dame out in the 2nd round. There's a lot of offensive lineman talent that is going to fall. And at the end of the day, am I going to probably spend every other pick I have in the draft on offensive linemen? Probably. But at the end of the day, I have Julio Jones now. I have Julio Jones, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins for Joe Burrow, and I have a brand new offensive line that I got from the rest of the draft. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Taking Julio.
J-Mac, what was your answer on that? Were you saying yes or no?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm taking Julio for the 5th pick, but you got to look at the whole thing. Will makes a lot of sense with his arguments on what he's saying. So I guess you got to weigh the good versus the bad, see what your future is, what your current is. But I'm probably going to get offensive line help, to be completely honest. That's always been my stance. Offensive line, defensive line first. So.
And then obviously Vic said no on that one. All right. She said no deal.
Yes.
All right. So that was our mini game called Deal or No Deal. It kind of got heated there for a little while, so I'm glad that we were able to play this game. I really, really enjoyed that game. You guys
because it's in GMs have very unhappy fans. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. But you know what? I'm glad we got to play this game. I actually really, really enjoyed it, and it looked like you guys had fun with this one too. So
my blood pressure didn't have fun, but I had a great time.
Yeah, you had a great time. All right, so with that being said, of course, our last ad of the night, which is Anchor. J-Mac, you want to go ahead and take that away?
Yeah, so this show will be uploaded to Anchor. If you couldn't catch us tonight and you want to catch us, just listen to us on a long drive, go out afternoon, couple of lunch breaks, whatever, find us on Anchor. We're there. All of our shows on the ASAP network are there. Also, if you want to start your own podcast. And the best part about Anchor is that everything is free for you to start. So check them out at Anchor, anchor.fm.com.
All right. And then, Vic, of course, you tell us a little bit about those T-shirts. How can you win one of those T-shirts?
There are 2 different ways you can win T-shirts. The easiest way that costs you no money whatsoever. Watch our show, follow us, comment, talk about, do you agree with our takes? Do you agree with our choices? Do you agree with our deals? Is our deal, does it make sense to you? The more comments you make, the more chance you had to be the viewer of the month, and you win a free T-shirt. Bam, wham, bam, swag for free. If you don't have time to do that, like J-Mac said, you're working, you can't listen to us live. $14.99 plus shipping and handling. You can message anyone on the network. We can hit you set up. It's a fabulous shirt. It's black with beautiful green lime writing. It's fantastic. And black is slimming, and it's that time of year, people. So let's buy some shirts.
By the way, comments and likes for a T-shirt, taking the deal on that one.
Yeah.
Deal. Taking the deal.
That's a deal I'm taking.
The deal. All right. So that is all we have for Sports Minute. And I hope everybody had a great time tonight on Sports Minute. We do have some fantastic games tomorrow for the NFL playoffs. The first game tomorrow actually starts at noon, and then the second game is on, I believe it's on at I want to say, is that on at 5 or is that 3?
Is this your time or my time?
My time. But
I'm giving up trying to figure it out.
I'm pretty sure it's at 3:30. I want to say it's at 3:30 Eastern and then 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, that's what I thought. But
let me double.
I
want to get that right. 3:05 Eastern time for Browns at Kansas City, and then 6:40 Eastern time for Bucks at Saints. Bye, J-Mac.
Bye. All right, so cool. So that is it for tonight. So I hope everybody had a fantastic night, and we will see you again. Have a good night.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, never the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.